Welcome back to the Agriland Pavilion here at the Ploughing site in Ratheniska in County Laois, where our theme today is all about machinery. And no better men on the stage here to talk machinery with me than Michael Farrelly, the Executive Director of the FTMTA, Frank Flynn from Red Rock Engineering, and of course our own Agriland specialist in machinery, Justin Roberts. Thanks for joining us today, gentlemen. First of all, Michael, I'll go to you and let's look at an overall look of the machinery trade at the moment. Obviously, we went through a period of no trade events, probably very little investment in machinery due to everything being more or less shut down because of the COVID-19 pandemic. We've had issues with Brexit. We've now had war between Russia and Ukraine. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask for to impact, I suppose, world trade, but what is the general feeling among FTMTA members with regard to machinery and the outlook for the machinery trade at the moment?
Well, I think it's very positive, and it has been very positive. And you mentioned COVID and all of that, and the resilience of farmers and the agricultural sector was shown throughout all of that. And actually, the trade performed quite well all through that time. And we came off a very strong year last year, and started this year, and this year everybody has performed very well. Machinery sales are performing very, very well this year as well, and what I'm hearing is that orders for next year are very strong with the manufacturers, and there's a lot of confidence. Like as we know, all the sectors are having a good year this year. Dairy is having a great year, tillage had a good year, beef is having a good year. So I think the outlook is quite positive at the moment.
And are there any specific challenges now at the moment that you would see your members experiencing?
Energy. Yeah. It's all about that. It's about the cost of diesel, in the manufacturing sector. Like, it's such an energy intensive sector, and the volatility and the uncertainty there, that's the biggest thing at the moment. There is talk of recession as well, but I don't think that's affecting the industry as much as the uncertainty around energy.
Frank Flynn from Red Rock, obviously right at the coalface in terms of machinery and the machinery trade. From your own perspective, what are the challenges you're experiencing? Because I suppose from a buyer's perspective, what they're hearing a lot is delays in ordering, delays in components that are needed. What are your challenges?
The biggest challenge that the industry faces at the moment is the lack of labour and skilled labour to work in factories manufacturing these machines. The industry has faced the past 12 months of huge rises in material costs, lack of availability of technical components, and late deliveries, and in a market that has been very buoyant and a huge demand for the machines when these parts and components that are mostly required. Going forward, we see the lack of skilled labour, and that is probably the biggest problem going forward. I think that the demand for machines is very strong, and with an increase in food prices, the methods by which the farming is done will change slightly, and the demand will continue.
And Frank, how could you, I suppose, advise a farm family in the most efficient way to invest in machinery, given everything that you've mentioned there? Energy costs have gone up, food prices have gone up for that farm family, their input costs have gone up, and they come into you in Red Rock and they're unsure. It is a big investment, obviously. Machinery is always a big asset on a farm. How can you advise them to efficiently invest well?
Well, I think that in two areas in the farming, in the input side, it's important to use as many locally grown straights, etc., and mix the blend to feed animals efficiency. I think that on the slurry side, the slurry on a farm must be well managed, even better managed than it is, to reduce the fertiliser costs and that, especially in a grassland and livestock situation.
That's interesting. And Justin, would you say, from what you've heard, and you have been to many shows since they came back to in-person events, what's your feeling on the ground? Are you feeling that, dealers are still experiencing shortages and delays from manufacturers? Are you feeling that potential buyers are getting a little bit dismayed at the pricing, which is obviously going up along with everything else?
I think it's a mixture of the factors that you mentioned there. Yes, there have been shortages, and steel prices certainly have risen to a great extent. And also there are problems with running those steel mills out there, and steel will become short because there isn't the energy to produce it, so to speak. And this has been talked about a lot. But I think the component supply, because a lot of dealers and manufacturers were talking about the components, and I think that situation is easing. But having said that, I hear that containers are now stacking up, container ships are now stacking up outside of America. Now I know this isn't a direct effect on Irish industry and Irish or agricultural machinery, but it is an indicator that in fact that containers are becoming short, containers are getting expensive, transport around the world is getting expensive, and I cannot see a price reduction. And coming to your second point there, where you ask, are people being put off by prices? And I think that, yes, I think there is a degree of that. Now, I know Michael and the FTMTA's position is the recent decrease in tractor sales is a reflection of a lack of stock, and I think that certainly is a big part of it. But I also get the feeling that prices are now getting a little dearer, and that farmers are going to need to think about it. They've still got to think of a tractor as an investment and not a cost, okay? But that investment is becoming a little too steep for many. That's the impression I get anyway, but there are no hard and fast figures on this.
Michael Farrelly, will the price of machinery come down?
Well, I can't see it coming down with what has happened with the costs in terms of manufacturing and all that. The only slight bit of light at the end of the tunnel is I heard recently that container costs had reduced quite sharply. That's a little bit of good news there. But look, the other side of price rises in machinery is the machine that the customer wants. So, people ask me, how much does a tractor cost? If you go out there today, people will say, how much is that? How much is a 100 horsepower tractor? But like, what somebody wants now versus what they wanted a few years ago is completely different. They want user comfort, so they want suspension on the tractor, they want an air seat on the tractor, they want air conditioning in the tractor, they want hands-free phone in the tractor, because the tractor becomes an office for them. There are seats now where, for tillage farmers, where the seat it massages you as you work. So, and that's been driven by what the customer wants at the end of the day, and that also adds to the cost of it. But I think about the investment and all of that, and you'll have farmers making a decision today. Right, slurry now is a valuable commodity, and we need to move to a low emission slurry spreading method. So, and we also need efficiency. Like, if you see the sector that's performing strongest here and that has been expanding is the dairy sector. So there's a lot of dairy farmers who are making the decision, right, we need a bigger tractor and a bigger slurry tank with low emission slurry spreading capability on it to make the most efficient use of a slurry. And that's what's driving investment. On the tillage side, you'll have things like, tillage farmers are changing their methods of farming. So they're going more for no-till or min-till and methods like this. So that's what's driving the change in machinery and the purchase of new machinery. And as Frank said, the big shortage right across the whole industry, whether it's at farm level or at manufacturer level or at dealer level, is labour shortage and skills shortage. And so everywhere people are looking for efficiency, and efficiency usually comes from better, more efficient machinery. That's one easy way to address that problem.
Frank, you did mention, I suppose, the shortage of labour and the skill sets there, be it engineering, mechanicking and so on. Do you, I mean, you're right there in the heart of the trade. Can you see a way that that could be resolved? Is there anything that could encourage more into the sector, more into that line of work?
Well, I think that the education system and career guidance for young people probably need to put more emphasis on manufacturing and engineering in general. I think that the companies who need these people also have to invest heavily in more automation and less draconian and old methods of doing the job. And I think that in the future there is going to have to be a huge investment in the factories and that.
And Justin, I suppose, you know, Michael Farrelly mentioned there that machinery is getting bigger. You know, it has the bells and whistles. It can practically nearly drive itself now. We're heading towards autonomy here. But when contractors or farmers, or large farmers, small farmers, are investing in new machinery, they might like having a seat that massages them. But at the end of the day, they're going to want to see what size the diesel tank is and how much fuel they're going to have to put in it on a weekly or monthly basis. So what are they going to do with the cost of fuel? I feel that maybe a lot of farmers or contractors are holding back on machinery investment at the moment because the cost of fuel is so high. Some of them are absorbing it, others are passing it on because they have no choice onto the farmer clients. Are they going to have to look at alternatives?
Well, this is an interesting question, and the alternative fuel field is huge and vast, and there's a lot of, well, I say, nonsense spoken out there. But certainly, just coming back to the point about costs of fuel, a lot of contractors I have spoken to actually have said, yes, look, the farmers understand that it is costing us extra, and they are paying the extra. And I have had contractors say to me, says, look, if I put the price up, if they're not going to pay it, then they don't get the work done. And it's simple as that, and farmers have accepted that. As opposed to alternatives, I mean, electricity was obviously the big white hope.
Of course, at the FTMTA trade show was the first electric powered, was it in New Holland?
Yes,
or the methane powered.
That was the methane, yeah.
Powered.
And I'm saying, I think the recognition in the trade is that, well, certainly amongst manufacturers, electricity is okay if you're running a tractor around a greenhouse and so forth, but anything bigger than that, then you're going to need a carbon-based fuel at the moment, and methane is a carbon-based fuel. Now, the trouble is, with methane, is actually collecting it. I know New Holland will say, oh, well, you can cover your slurry tank and 100 cow herd will run a tractor for a year. But covering that dairy tank, extracting the gas, cleaning the gas, taking all the admixture out and all the bits you don't want, the moisture, is a very expensive operation. So it's not going to work out any cheaper than diesel. I mean, at the moment, diesel and I should bring Finland in here, which actually uses 20% of its diesel is actually recycled diesel. It's actually organic diesel, or whatever you want to call it. It's not a fossil fuel. So there are alternative carbon-based fuels other than digging it out of the ground. And my personal opinion is we should be seeking to use those alternatives, develop those alternatives. If the money that has gone into looking for a better battery, went into finding a better way of using carbon, because carbon is it's what nature uses for 3 billion years, we wouldn't be talking about this now. We would have a method of recycling the carbon, extracting it out of the air, which has been done, and putting it back in the tank. And it may cost as much as diesel is at the moment, but we would have a reliable energy supply, and reliability of energy supply is what is important at the moment. That's what's being talked about.
Yeah. Frank, what are the most area of machinery that's desired at the moment, that's in demand at the moment, from your perspective?
In Ireland?
In Ireland, for our climate, our kind of soils.
It's more environmental methods of applying slurry to the ground and preventing any further pollution to our waterways.
Yeah, so people are really getting on board, you know, the nitrates, the water directives and all that, yeah.
The uptake in dribble bars and trailing shoes and that has been tremendous. And along with that, they're increasing the size of tankers, as Michael said, in a bid to reduce the labour costs, and that also involved And the general trend is to improve output from animals as well. So mixing and feeding and doing it properly, and correct diets, and that has also become prevalent on farms also.
That's interesting. And Frank, the likes of the ploughing here, you know, over the next 3 days there'll be in excess of 300,000 people. Judging by the crowds here in Ratheniska today, I think it'll be far in excess of 300,000.
Hope so.
But Red Rock is here.
Yeah.
Why have you chosen to come here? I know that I saw you with the return of Balmoral as well. How important are events like this for companies such as yourself?
Well, the Ploughing Championship and the people who come to it are very important to us. The market in south of Ireland is still one of our bigger markets. And we make a quality brand of machines, and you can look at them on the internet, and you can look at them on sites and social media and that. But people want to come and actually put their hand on them and feel the quality of the machine. And that's very important.
Not the same online, I know what you're saying.
So we also come to support the people who have been loyal to us and bought machines off us over the years, and they want to come and meet you at the Ploughing.
Michael, you had your own FTMTA trade exhibition not too long ago, which was also a very good success. Now, you were blessed with the weather as well, but the feedback I understand from that was that you were saying that it was really good. There was really good uptake, really good chat, really good engagement with dealers, manufacturers and so on. And I'm sure a lot of your members are here with exhibits of their own at the Ploughing today. So clearly they see that there is an avenue here, that they really get out to meet their clients at events like this.
Yeah, no, it's very important. Now, our show is slightly different because it's just purely focused machinery show. Like obviously the ploughing is a much wider event. But look, the feedback we got from it was, as Frank said, the opportunity for the manufacturers and the distributors to get out and to meet their customers. And they hadn't been able to do that. Our show was actually the first main show in several years, so it was great to do that. And the level of business done at the show showed that our exhibitors were very happy with the business that was done there. So it's a great opportunity to meet the customers, to meet the manufacturers, etc.
And finally, I'll just say, in terms of anyone who's around here today, they're going to the machinery sites, they're looking at new machines, new engineering, new developments coming down the line. What's the advice to them? I mean, it's a big buy in a tough year. What's the advice?
Well, look, it depends really on what they want about it, but to look at the machine, make sure it's a quality manufactured machine. We're blessed in Ireland that we've some of the best manufacturers in the world. They make strong machines that are designed for the Irish market and for the heavy grass crops that we have, etc. The type of ground that we have here. Go out, meet the machinery dealers or the manufacturers, have a talk with them, as Frank said, have a look at the machine, and make the decision from there. See what efficiency or what extra it brings to your business. Farms at the end of the day are a business. And what it can add to your business,
Great advice there. Thanks very much for joining us. So that's Justin Roberts, Agriland Machinery Specialist, Frank Flynn from Red Rock, and Michael Farrelly from the FTMTA. So that is our latest panel here from the Agriland Pavilion, just across from the NPA headquarters here at the Ploughing site in Ratheniska. You can't miss us. Just look out for the big NPA blimp and we're right across the street from there. So thanks a million for joining us on this panel discussion. Now it's out to the Ploughing site for more Out and About with the Agriland team.